Okay, in the next part of the video, we will discuss three other examples. The first example is the optimal operating conditions of a boiler. So, an example of optimization can be found in the operation of a boiler. A boiler is needed for the utilities and powerhouse operation within the refineries and process plant. Okay, the control of the environmental emission this day has become an additional variable that process engineer needs to take into consideration in optimizing boiler operation. So in a boiler, it is desirable to optimize the air to fuel ratio so that the thermal efficiency is maximized. However, there is an opposing consideration. Environmental regulation encourage operation under fuel-rich condition and lower combustion temperatures in order to reduce the emission of nitrogen oxides. However, these two are opposing condition because the operating condition decreases efficiency because some unburned fuel may escape through the stacks, resulting in an increase in undesirable hydrocarbon emission. Therefore, we have a conflict in operating criteria. Okay, as we will show in the next slide, there will be a trade-off between the efficiency and the emissions, which suggests that more than one performance criterion may exist. So therefore, we are forced to consider maximizing efficiency versus minimizing emission, resulting in some compromise of the two objectives. So, as you can see in here, the x-axis representing air to fuel ratio, which increases as we go from the left to the right directions. Okay, the y left axis in here shows the thermal efficiency, while the right y-axis in here shows the emissions. Okay, let's inspect the first one. Is the continuous lines in here. Okay, which is the thermal efficiency. The thermal efficiency in here will be maximized at this particular point that basically have a quite, I would say quite medium value of the air to fuel. So it will be implying a value of air higher than 1 than what is needed for stoichiometrically for the fuel to burn the fuel. Okay, so this one is the thermal efficiency. So we need a slightly higher than 1 value for to achieve the thermal efficiency. On the other hand, as we go to the right, from the right hand side to the left hand side, we are basically increasing the fuel ratio with respect to air. Okay, in doing so, if we just check this dotted line in here, okay, the nitrogen oxides will be decreased as we increase the ratio of the fuel to air. So basically we put more fuel than what is needed. Okay, as we go through this one, and then at certain particular point, as it is shown by the dashed lines in here, we are basically at this particular point in here, as we try to achieve a zero nitrous oxide, we actually wasting hydrocarbon in here, or what we burn as a fuel in here. Okay, and it will becoming rapidly increases as we increase the air, as we increase the fuel to air ratio below this particular threshold value in here. Okay, so that means somehow the best operating condition should lie in within this region in here. Okay, so where we don't have too much low thermal efficiency, but at the same time we don't have a very high hydrocarbon emissions, and also the nitrogen emission is basically lowered. Okay, so that's what you need to consider. Okay, another feature of a boiler operation is the widely varying demand caused by the changes in process operation, plant unit startups and shutdowns, and daily and seasonal cycles. Okay, because utility equipment is often operated in parallel, demand swings may affect when another boiler, turbine, or other piece of equipment should be brought online. Determining this is also made more complex by the fact that most of the powerhouse equipment cannot be operated continuously all the way down to the idle state, as illustrated in the next figure for the boilers and turbines. Okay, a range of continuous operation may exist for a certain range, but a discrete jump to a different set of condition may be required if the demand changes. So what is implied in here is, for example, for a boiler is that at this particular zero it's an idle, but you need a certain minimum amount of the fuel input in order to start to generate a steam. Okay, so in between this zero to this particular value of the fuel input, there will be no steam output. Okay, and depending on the response of your boiler systems, from this to between this range, for example, then if you increase the fuel input in here, it will result in an increase in the steam output in here, which is linear or non-linear in here. Okay, so that's what is meant by basically the complications that stated before. Okay, so it implies in here that the powerhouse equipment cannot be operated continuously all the way. Okay, and that a discrete jump may exist in your real situations of your equipment. Okay. Okay, another example in here will be an optimum distillation reflux. Before 1974, when the fuel was very cheap, distillation column trains used a strategy that involves the substantial consumption of utilities such as steam and cooling water in order to maximize separation. So steam is used in the reboiler part of your distillation column, whereas cooling water is used on the condenser in order to maximize the separation of the given distillation column. Okay, however, the operation of any one tower still have limitations, such as the condenser duty, tower tray flooding, or reboiler duty. Okay, now these days when the fuel cannot be wasted anymore, it has become much more expensive than before. Then you have a different objective, which is minimizing the reflux ratio. So how low can reflux ratio be set? This will be the questions for this example. From the viewpoint of optimization, there is an economic minimum value below which the energy savings will become less than the cost of the product quality degradations. Okay, operators tend to offer reflux a column because this strategy makes it easier to stay well within the product specifications. However, these days columns are generally operated with a fixed flow control for reflux, so that the reflux ratio can be higher than needed when the feed rates decreases. Okay, so these two slides in here basically drawing two different cases when you have a high fuel cost. Okay, the one on the x-axis is the reflux. So the as we shift from the left to right hand side, then the reflux will increase. Okay, and then this y-axis is basically giving the cost, or the in this case of the value of the products, this will give the value of the products, as in $1 per time. Okay, so there is three curve in here. This curve in here give the cost of the fuel when the fuel is high. Okay, and then the one on the bottom, the one on the lower side in here is giving the cost of the fuel when it's cheaper. Okay, the value of the products is a function of the reflux. Obviously it changes, as is the cost of the fuel used for heating. Okay, they will change depending on the two scenarios. Okay, so the profit will be the difference between the value of the products in here with the cost of the energy you need to put in, or the cost of the fuel that you need to put in. Okay, in the case of the high fuel cost, this will be the difference between this point, between this particular part of the curve and this particular part of the curve will be the optimal profit for the high fuel cost. Okay, whereas for the low fuel cost, this particular difference in here will be the profit, the optimal profit when we consider basically the low fuel cost scenario. Okay, then this part in here can be converted into this part in here on the right hand side. Okay, and then the difference between this part in here with this part in here, or what I put with this part in here basically, is this part in here. So we know that the profit will become 0 at this particular point, okay, where if you increase the reflux above this particular point in here, then you will have a loss. Okay, so this pictorial picture of the optimization problem give a very good a way to basically understand how mathematically a problem can be deducted, the significance of it in the real condition. Okay, I'll stop here for this part of the video. I will continue the next video, the concepts on the optimization. Thank you for listening.